Selon, bonjour.
Bonjour, c'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous, Bruno, après notre première visite, c'était au Paris.
Oui, au printemps dernier.
Oui, à le printemps, à la Vivatech, mais maintenant, nous sommes à All In, au Montréal, c'est merveilleux ici.
Et là, ça fait 6 mois.
Ah non, c'est pas 6 mois, ça fait seulement 4 mois.
Ah, j'aime ça vous faire compter. 4 mois comme ministre de l'IA.
Oui.
Ça a passé vite.
Oui, ça passait très vite. J'étais élu seulement dans avril. Non, mai.
À
la
l'élection.
Oui, à l'élection. Ça, c'est seulement la fin de le premier chapitre. Et maintenant, aujourd'hui, à All In, peut-être c'est le commencement de le deuxième chapitre. Ça, c'est les souveraineté digitale. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Ben, justement, qu'est-ce que c'est pour vous, la souveraineté numérique?
La souveraineté numérique, c'est un concept très important. Et ça, c'est pas seulement au Canada.
Non, c'est vrai, partout dans le monde. Oui.
Partout le monde, c'est très important. Et c'est quoi ça? Parce que c'est une phrase qui est très dure pour tout le monde. Et je m'excuse. J'ai dit à vous que je vais pratiquer mon français et je comprends presque tout, mais je m'excuse. Je fais beaucoup d'erreurs grammatiques maintenant.
Non, mais moi, je veux vous remercier parce que vous avez tenu parole. Je me souviens, quand on était à Paris, vous avez dit la prochaine fois qu'on se parle, je vais faire l'entrevue en français. Là, je vais vous reposer la question et je tiens à vous remercier parce que vous avez tenu parole.
Oui.
Et dans le monde des médias, quand on parle avec des politiciens, c'est pas toujours les horaires, le travail fait que ça arrive.
Alors, mais il faut que j'essaye.
Oui, mais ça, c'est vous.
Ah oui.
Alors, la souveraineté numérique.
OK. La souveraineté numérique, c'est très important. Pour le Canada investit dans le centre des données nationaux,
Oui.
des infrastructures, Infonuagique, le cloud, qu'est-ce qu'on dit?
Exactement, Infonuagique, vous l'aviez.
Infonuagique, et la protection de la propriété intellectuelle, afin de maintenir les actifs critiques de la IA sur le sol canadien et d'éviter toute dépendance. Mais il y a un autre coin ici, une autre face.
Ouais.
La souveraineté ne signifie pas l'isolement. Et il faut que je parle un peu en anglais ici parce que il faut que ce concept c'est très important et peut-être j'ai perdu un peu de détails.
Non, mais vous savez qu'on est à Montréal, on peut parler les deux langues dans la même
Les
conversation.
deux langues, oui, c'est au Montréal.
C'est la beauté de Montréal.
Et je comprends presque tout. Digital sovereignty is very important concept for us. And what does it mean for all Canadians? First, it means that we have to build the digital backbone and our sovereign infrastructure that's built by Canadians for Canadians that is subject to Canadian law, les lois canadiennes. C'est très important. The law has to be, and it is not for all data, but for our very important
sensible
key data.
Information.
Our sensitive and important data should be with Canadian cloud, Canadian data centers, and subject to Canadian law, so someone cannot turn our system off.
Well, but that's it. That would be my question. Having heard what you've said on the big conference this morning, why are we talking about digital sovereignty today? I mean, a year ago, we had the same environment, approximately, but we weren't talking about that much. What changed?
We are in a moment of political realignment. And everybody understands that around the world. And what has happened with some of our best trading partners is not that we're not going to still trade with them, we are. And the United States is our most important trading partner. And we'll use their hyperscalers and their technology. We need that innovation, we want that, we invite that, that has to happen. But everybody also realizes you need an insurance policy. That you have to make sure that our values, Canadian values, the values that make this country unique, distinct, c'est très important, that we have the way that Canadians want, and Canadians want this, they tell us this. We want to make sure our data is not subjected to another country's law.
Which
Canadian
is the case
law.
right now.
Yeah, of course. With some, people understand what the Cloud Act is. So when I say digital sovereignty, it means that we have to make sure we have the infrastructure. So what is our cloud, our sovereign cloud, our sovereign data centers? What is the law? So we have three things that we need to do. One, support our Canadian-owned businesses so we can have that infrastructure, and the Prime Minister's talked about that as a major national project. Two, we need the legislation that will do that. Now that's different than the regulation. I have said that we are very interested in revisiting and retabling legislation around privacy and data, that in the last Parliament, it was C-27, if I may use a technical term, that no one else but us will maybe get, but that's what they call the bill in Parliament. And that had a lot on updating our privacy laws that are now 25 years old, and they need updating. But it also had bolted on a regulation about AI that, frankly, was controversial. And we have to find a way between no regulation that the United States and China want because they see that as a constraint on innovation and security, and too much regulation. So I've said we want to update our privacy laws about data flow. We need to protect consumers from deep fakes. People are worried about that. We need to protect children, like sensitive information and the consent to share data. That's really important, and how we do that. So there's a infrastructure part, and there's a regulatory side, and then there's you and I are here at All In, there's 6,000 people here, there are hundreds of companies, and we need to make sure that the Canadian IP, the intellectual property, the ideas stay in Canada, so we don't just create companies and they move to other countries.
And that's one of the point that you've touched this morning, and it was pretty clear because a lot of people talked about that during the day. It's the fact that you're really pushing to make sure that, because we're in a market right now where there's a lot of companies who are being bought from other country, and you want to make sure that the Canadian savoir-faire stays in Canada.
Yeah.
But do you have in mind, I mean, that's a nice thought, but the reality is the fact that there's deep pocket down the border. How do you want to address that?
Okay, c'est une bonne question. First, we have to balance innovation and regulation. Réglementation et innovation. Et ça, c'est la première chose. Et ça, c'est la raison que nous réexaminions la législation passée et les lois actuellement et concevons des protections solides et en les mettant à jour où c'est nécessaire. So we have to do that and coordinating that, with our government and internationally. So that's that balance. But there are four things we need in an ecosystem. La première chose to survive is capital. They need money. These companies need risk capital, seed investment, VC capital, venture capital, and they need money to stay here. So part of what our plan is to incentivize capital to crowd in. So there will be new mechanisms. The Prime Minister during the campaign talked about mechanisms like flow-through shares, but we will have...
That would be in the new budget?
Yeah, well, that's part of our plan in the new budget, to make sure that we incentivize investment here, risk capital, and we have taken a lot of inbound, so that's the first thing. The second thing is companies need a customer. So there's capital and there's customer. Well, we have to do our part too. The government is a good customer. We can put our thumb on the scale and validate, and when you have a customer like the federal government, you can raise money.
And that's what you did with Cohere.
C'est la même chose. Yeah, oui. Ça, c'est la première chose, the MOU avec Cohere. which is one of Canada's strategically important LLMs, the important, but we will do it with others.
Okay.
And we have to accelerate. So you need capital, you need customers, and we have to show. So that's, you need compute. You need the power to solve the problems and access to compute. So we have a $1 billion fund, and we had the 300 million access to compute fund that was oversubscribed right away. We have making sure we're providing compute is absolutely key, and we've got to get more of that. So you need capital, you need customers, and then you need talent. Now we've got to attract talent, and it's a good time to do it, to say this is a good place to be, but you got to keep talent. And the way to keep talent is to make sure that this is an environment where you can stay and thrive, feel protected, follow the rules of the road in terms of investment and trade, but you can still attract investment from around the world. And that's when I talk about digital sovereignty, Bruno, and you get this, and I hope everyone understands, taking care of our house, our own, by Canadians, for Canadians, so we are protecting and projecting our values, also means we can invite everybody to play. We want to play. We want innovation. We don't want to be walled off. We want to be safe and open. And c'est très important.
This morning you've talked about your 30 days program.
Yeah.
It catch my imagination. I mean, that's pretty catchy. But tell me a bit more about it.
So we will launch, so we're doing a lot of consultation.
Yeah.
We have to listen to this new environment. What do people want? And we just talked about it. They want capital, they want customers, they want compute, they want talent. Okay, but what else? We have to make sure we get this right. My fear would be to have a strategic plan, and we're going to accelerate Canada's AI strategic plan by almost a year and a half because we need it. Mm-hmm. But it's got to be aligned with what we need and what we have. So we've launched 30-day task force. So we've chosen these rapid fire task force on security, on research, on commercialization, on safety, on talent, on compute, on some of the key aspects of what we need, on trust. Trust is so important. Like we haven't even talked about it, but it's so important that Canadians trust that their privacy and their data are secure, and we need to make sure that that's there. So this task force, these are remarkable people. They have 30 days though, not 10 years and Canadians will forget about it. 30 days to report back. They'll give us their recommendations, and these will be part of building the DNA of our national strategy. That's not the only consultation process. Look, we've got our institutes, Amy, Mila, right here in Montreal, Vector in Toronto. We've got we've been consulting with our Canadian AI Safety Institute. We've got our advisory panels. We've got all sorts of associations like the Digital Research Association of Canada, DRAC. We met them in Vancouver. Look, we're getting a lot of inbound, but the difference between listening and acting is the difference between falling behind and staying ahead. And that's what we got to do.
I heard you talk obviously about AI. I heard you talk about cybersecurity. I heard you talk about also
the quantum.
Yeah, which is kind of your next chapter.
Yeah,
that'll be a chapter 3.
I think it's going to be chapter 2, actually, Bruno. So this is.
But you told me that digital sovereignty. Yeah, it's part of your digital sovereignty.
It is part of our digital sovereignty. So digital sovereignty kind of is our chapter 2, but part of that means protecting what's ours. And one of the things, look, Canada pioneered AI. Mm-hmm. You know better than anyone. But we've also pioneered some of the best quantum companies in the world. Right. And quantum is really important. And we have some of the best quantum companies here in Montreal, Nord Quantique, an incredible company. We've got Xanadu in Toronto. We've got Photonic in Vancouver. I mean, world leading. But they got to stay here. And so we want to make sure that these companies, they're going to change the world. And for those people that say, what's quantum? I'm barely handling AI. Quantum is sort of where AI was 3 or 4 years ago. But it has real national security potential. And I just want people to appreciate. Quantum, where digital technologies is a 1 or a 0 or an on and then an off, quantum is what's called a qubit. It's like a 1 and a 0 at the same time. It's on and off at the same time. So it can move very fast. And it's still very much frontier technology. But it has uses in censoring, very fine-tuned censoring. And we have great, for the world, it's important for cryptography to keep people safe. Because all our security, if quantum pays off soon, all the things that are secure could be vulnerable because it can crack codes at a very high speed and high level. And so there's a real movement to be, quote, quantum secure. So Canada's got to solidify its position. And we will be launching a program in October that will be a major program to do just that. And the second part is, as the Prime Minister's talked about our defense industrial strategy, this is really important. And technologies have dual uses. They can be used to help protect us, and they have a public consumer, an enterprise usage. And that dual use is really helpful when we're contributing to our NATO 2% and then greater. And so quantum is going to play a big role. So on one hand, we've got this digital infrastructure and digital sovereignty around AI, but quantum's part of that. That's all part of making sure we keep our ideas here, our people here, our talent, and then Canada. And here we are in Quebec. And again, there is no place that has been more pioneering than Montreal and Quebec City. The ecosystem, the University of Sherbrooke, Université de Montréal. I mean, it's hard to be more proud of a country when you go, and by the way, in Waterloo, Ontario, in Vancouver, in Edmonton, but we're sitting at a place that if we were in America, people would be calling it like Silicon Valley.
Yep.
Because it's like that. And when you look at what's happening at Mila, the incredible institute, I met today with Yoshua Bengio, one of the 3 great godfathers of AI who works here. And people in Canada sometimes don't realize that, Yoshua Bengio to AI is like Connor McDavid to hockey, okay? Like, we've got the best in the world here.
Before I let you go, there's 2 things that I want to touch on. First, and that was the question that I was about to ask you previously. I hear you talking about AI, cybersecurity, quantum. Is there something, you've been traveling throughout the country for months now. You've been meeting people. Is there a topic in the digital field that, I wouldn't say inspire you, but interest you, and you so far you didn't talk about it because you're so preoccupied with AI, with quantum, with cybersecurity? Is there something that you have on your pocket saying, one day I'll talk about it? I don't want to have it.
There's not something, it's a great question. The thing I most want to talk about, the thing that excites me the most, but the thing that concerns me the most is that people see AI as the end and it's the tool. That what you and I see, what everyone on this floor, they're not building AI because AI's cool. They're using AI because it's a tool to do something better.
There's a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I just spent an hour with showcasing companies in health who were using AI for surgeries. There's a live surgery we're filming tomorrow, right? That instead of, you know, two-dimensional images, oh, they take and the doctor like using 50-year-old technology, they actually can turn it into a 3D map. So as they're doing the surgery, they're doing it in 3D. Incredible.
And later on, we have an interview with those guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. And then there's another incredible technology here that allows people, and by the way, that can stop people from having, there's another one that can detect cancer cells. So they're doing surgery to detect cancer, and sometimes they don't get all the cancer, and you have to do a second surgery. This technology will, using AI and using light, they can actually determine, oh, you've missed that, and they'll get the cancer and cut out the need for a second surgery. This is dramatically important. So what excites me and what I don't get to talk about is the application side. Like, I just wish every day I could say, here's a way that someone's in your healthcare. Oh, I met a farmer that is increasing their yields because they're using AI to do specifically amount of fertilizer per crop and specific amounts of water. There's an AI for a water treatment plant invented by a professor in Alberta. And you know, when you treat water, you put the chlorine or whatever the treatment is in the morning and then you measure it again at night. This does it in real time, cutting the use of chemicals, imagine how efficient that is for remote communities. So what excites me is if it works and if it's used. And I feel like we talk about the abstract technical side, and we're kind of like, you know, it's like if I drove a really nice car, which I don't, but I like to. I would like to, because I like cars. You wouldn't say to me, open up, like only a few of my friends would say, open up the hood and let's tear the engine apart. How many times a second do the pistons fire? You'd say, oh my God, that car looks great, cool. And then you'd say, but really, can it get me and my family like to where we need to go? And I say, it's really cool, but it breaks down a lot. You're like, I think I'm gonna take an Uber. So like, if it delivers you safely and comfortably to where it wants to go, that's what you're most interested in the end. That's what we need to know about this. Okay, it's cool, it's shiny. Is it gonna deliver us safely, comfortably, where we need to go? And where we need to go is a better country, better services, and I think we can do it. And I think we need to do it because if we don't, the stakes, you know, someone else is gonna do it. And we need to control our data, we need to keep it safe, we need to keep our Canadians educated and skilled in technology, and together we can build this country. The good thing is we have competitive advantages. We're already in the lead, but the competition is fierce. And if leadership is not a right, you got to work your butts off for it. And I think we've got to try. Dans l'équipe Canada.
Last question, then I'll let you go with your team because I know that you have a busy time for the rest of the day. We're meeting at All In.
Right.
I saw you everywhere today. You were meeting people. I mean, you probably met 1,000 person. When you go back in Ottawa or the next place you'll go, what will you be remembering of the All In edition?
This is what I wish everyone could feel. Look, there are two stories going on. There's a lot of concern in our country, and we shouldn't sugarcoat it. There are people who are worried about what the economy is going to be like because we are in a crisis. The Prime Minister talks about it. It's real. And we got to invest in ourselves, and we've got to move from reliance on some partners to more resilience. And it's hard out there. And then people are worried, what is the future going to look like? Are there going to be jobs? And I recognize that's real. And then you come here. And then you see, it's kind of like being a hockey scout and seeing the All-Star Junior team, and you know that they're about to enter the NHL, and lead the way. This is what it's like. Like, there is so much creativity and innovation and excitement. There are so many young people here. People here are creating things. They're very brave. I was an entrepreneur for 10 years. It's hard. And these people they're betting on themselves. They're betting on each other. They're working their butts off. And you just feel this sense of excitement, like, you know what? We can do this. There's Canadians that they're not waiting. They're not waiting for someone else to shape the future. They're like, we can do it. We've got the tools. We got the technology. We've got the attitude. We've got the... Qu'est-ce qu'on dit en français? C'est un mot en anglais. C'est pas pour le podcast, but you know, like
the balls.
The balls,
yeah.
Right? Whatever. They've got the courage to change the future. And what I take back to Ottawa is we've got to keep up, and we've got to make this group invite all 40 million Canadians in to see the hope, the optimism, to join the building. And I just want to take back that message that, look, it's hard, but there's a team out here on the ice that is ready to go and is doing it, and we've got to celebrate, but also join in. And I will say this, I feel so honored to make sure to be this minister that has to deliver this message. And that message is one of not, this is the greatest thing in the world. They're not saying that. They're saying, I think we can build a better country. And I think we can probably build the best country in the world. And I think we probably have the tools to do it and keep up, not just keep up with the best, but beat the best. And that's a message we're not hearing a lot. And you and I have headphones on, but if people were here, this place has energy that we should put in a little bottle and mail it to every single Canadian, because it's inspiring. And that's what I'll take back to Ottawa.
But in the meantime, you just share that to everybody who's listening. So,
yeah, okay, yeah. Come on down. Yeah.
So then next year they have to be here. Evan Solomon, merci beaucoup d'avoir pris de votre temps pour répondre à mes questions. And how do you say that? Until next time?
Until next time. À la prochaine fois, j'ai fait une promis à Bruno. Il faut que je pratique mon français. Je comprends presque tout, mais chaque jour, j'ai pratiqué. Et qu'est-ce qu'on est le premier que j'ai fait à Paris? 6 mois, j'ai fait une interview en français.
Ouais.
OK. Je travaille
dur. Alors on dit en 2026, une entrevue complète en français.
J'espère. C'est très important. Et mes enfants parlent. Mes enfants sont bilingues. Et quand je parle en français avec mes enfants, ils disent, papa, tu parles comme une vache espagnole. Je comprends, mais j'essaye.
Ben, c'est ça qui est important.
Oui.
Et merci beaucoup pour votre temps et
merci.
Je vous dis à très bientôt.
Merci encore une fois.
Au revoir.